So, ladies and gentlemen, I'm the last speaker. So, between you and your weekend, let's quickly wind up. I would not like to hold you. May I have the show of hands, all those who are running a privacy program or have run the privacy program? I'll just take few 12 minutes, share with you some of my insights here. That what I feel constitutes a successful privacy program. What is the success and how deep you should look at it from my angle. It's a mountain after what you have heard from the panelists. It is not something which can be achieved in a day. It's a journey. It is a cliche though, but what you should do, in my opinion, from my experience, disclaimer, whatever I am sharing is from my experience and not from my organization's perspective. Let's quickly start off. I'll put my agenda in these things. What are the challenges? You've all heard, but I'll just quickly recap. What is a successful privacy program should be? What happens if it is not successful? What, in my opinion, where it will hit us? What are the essentials of the privacy program? And in my opinion, how a compliance-based program can be transitioned towards an enabler. Or how do you embed it into your processes? And that should be your aim, and that should be your objective rather than the compliance. And what probably you can do in that regard in your program. And lastly, if the time permits, if there are any questions. So we have all seen this, but let's quickly recap. Privacy is the right of the individuals to keep something which is their personal from the unauthorized access or public scrutiny. We all know this, though in our Indian context, privacy doesn't come very naturally to us, but we are seeing that transition happening. And with the privacy bill coming, we will see this transition in our consumers. And if you are in a business which is direct to consumers, I think you need to take a heed to it, irrespective of whether the regulation is coming tomorrow, or it should have come 3 years back, or it will come later. You have to think about it if you are a company reaching out to the consumers. From the privacy that comes to the information privacy, if I'm sharing the data, I want it to be used in the manner in which I wanted it to be shared with the end user. And the organizations are impacted because of this, what they should do in the various states, when it's in rest, when I'm taking consent and all those things. I'll keep the technicalities and the jargons of the regulations aside and share with you what I feel is the essential in my opinion. An effective data privacy program not only considers the current regulation, it should always look forward and keep marching ahead. Maybe in slow steps, smaller steps, but your direction should be where you want to end at. If the direction is there, probably your program is successful, irrespective of how much you achieved, is the way I look at a successful privacy program. The challenges we have all heard, but let's look at the challenges again for any data privacy program. It's how do you embed, when I say embed the data privacy, how do you embed it in your business processes? How do you embed it in your culture, in your organization? What are you making, how are you making sure that your legal team, product team, business team, marketing team are able to understand what this privacy is all about? When my marketing team comes and tells me, what is the difference? We were doing the advertising all along. Gautman has shared, it's very complex, the digital advertising in the world of internet, the advertising. He says, what is the difference? We've been doing this from ages. I'm from an organization which has been running the first private TV channel in India. So they say, what is the difference? Why are you talking about this today? We've been doing this all around. I say, no, now you're doing it different. Now it's personalized, you're targeting. Okay, so what does that mean? So as a DPO, as a privacy officer, as a practitioner, what are you doing to actually tell them what different they have been doing now? They may not be, in Indian context, they may not be aware of, everybody is not aware of GDPR, You can't throw them the jargons of, PIA, DPIA, ROPAs, I'll do for you. How do you actually tell them that the privacy is important for you? And how it can enable our organizations? If you can't do it today, can you do it in 15 days, 1 month? Can you put some ETAs and targets with them? There is a large number of proliferation of assets. Everybody is going to hyperscalers. Every business is a digital business today. So it's everybody is aware of it, that the digital footprint for all organizations increasing. And that's a challenge in itself. Budget constraints. Less said, better it is. Okay. So I myself is a security professional. It itself is a cost center in any organization, and the privacy is ahead of it, even after that. So it's not so easy. You have to enable your business. As simple as that. Even though I'm a privacy professional, I have to see that how I enable my business. I have to make sure that I deliver something, the cost which is given to me. I can't be just rattling away the regulations all the time to my management. We have to also run the business. I'm in the business. Long list of regulations. GDPR is like is just one word. And if our organizations, or if we have the ambitions to reach globally, then there are multiple regulations. It's not about, again, I'm repeating myself, it's not about regulations. It's the fundamentals. If you understand that what is there, cross-cutting in all these regulations, then probably you have a sense of in what direction you need to put your program to. Because you can get fixed up or entangled into the regulations. Can you actually cut through all the regulations and see what is that fundamentally you need to do in your program? Bad data culture. The way privacy is relying a lot on governance and the security, the other thing is the data governance. So bad data culture in any organization cannot lead to any good privacy program. So if you do not have the data governance already set in your organization, might as well start from there. Poor data visibility, always. If you don't know where your data is, where are you collecting, where are you sending, how are you processing internally, what will you do in your program itself. Lack of trained privacy teams, definitely. And when I say lack of privacy team is, again, I'm saying it's not about the regulations. I have good legal team who can handle the regulations. I need people who understand the basics of the privacy, and can they relate and tell my marketing team, can they go to my product manager who is saying that I want to release a new feature, can they explain it to him that what you're doing is not given in the privacy notice in the purpose there. And you need to either change the notice or drop this feature today. That's the difference when I say the skill in the privacy. Moving ahead, what happens when I say that you may have a program, you may be running, you may be ISO 27701 certified, good privacy program running. What happens if the successful privacy program is not there? You will have a false sense of security. That I'm doing it. Annually, I do a privacy risk assessment. I get one Big Four into my organization. He does my privacy posture assessment. He tells me what are the gaps now. I fix all those gaps. Done. See you next year. My job is done. That's the false sense of security. If you have a program, that means it's a continuous. You have to do something every day. You have to keep thinking every day, what can you do now? Okay. Reputational injury, we all know. It can be more devastating than data breaches, I feel. Legal and financial liabilities. Again, it is happening in Europe. It is happening to the major organizations. It may soon start happening in India. Definitely, even after we have the bill, it may not be so easy to enforce things, but we have to prepare ourselves. We have to be ahead of our bill, the enforcement agencies. Can we prepare ourselves ahead of it? Even if you are in Indian context, can you do something little bit in that direction? Obviously, the decreased customer confidence. And I feel that if your privacy program is missing this objective, you will definitely have the customer confidence eroding. And I can see that transition happening even at my home front, at different places. As I said, in an Indian context, privacy is not very naturally, it doesn't come naturally to us. But when I see that happening, let's say in my spouse, my extended families, they're concerned if iPhone asks, I want to track you. Then now they're looking at it, that somebody was tracking me. Correct. My wife asked me, I just discussed with you that I want to buy sneakers. Now I'm getting these all sneakers ads. I have not even written that I want to buy something. I said, something is happening. You must have, either your microphone is listening now, somebody is listening to you. So we are getting conscious day by day. As digitally we are moving in this direction, we are getting conscious. So we cannot say that we will not be conscious or our customers doesn't care. In an Indian context, this may not be relevant. So these kinds of false sense do come in. You know, when RTI came in, people said, no. Who needs that kind of an information? Only the, the folks who want to go and do rebel only are going to. But no, people do use it. People are conscious about that, okay, these kinds of bills and regulations are coming. Moving ahead, essentials of privacy program. I'll quickly run and probably reach to the segment where I want to spend more time. As I said already, you should be absolutely clear what you're driving your program for. Is it for building the trust in the customers? Is it only to avoid the data breaches? Or, and are you aware of the applicable laws which are applicable to you, which are jurisdictions you're working for? This key driver has to be there in your mind. Just by saying that I'm getting a privacy program initiated in my organization is not sufficient. This goal should be very clear. What are the short-term goals, medium-term, and the long-term goals? Once that is there, if you haven't got the formal strategy and the direction, and if you have not got the sponsorship from the higher management, might as well drop that program. Let's not start it, because it's a failure. Just because you are a privacy professional in your organization doesn't mean that you need to run something. Might as well do something else, correct? So you need to go and hit to the higher management, tell them what does that mean. And I feel with a lot of certainty, after I've spoken to a lot of senior folks, they do understand. If you are able to communicate without the jargon, they will understand what you mean. Okay? And you may get a buy-in. And what buy-in you have got is what you should run your program for. Last but not the least, one of the most important things which I feel is, if you have departments, can you create the champions in those departments? And I think that's the key thing which I will ask everybody to take from here, and that's something which I want everybody to remember. It's, you cannot run the program on your own. Can you make the transition? Can you go around and ensure that every head of the department gives you at least one nomination? First, after you got the nomination, can you tell that gentleman what is the difference between a personal data and PII? Because the question which I get is that this is not PII. Now why are you asking me? Because the PII is the name and the age. But I say, no, you're also taking the device ID to give him the advertisement. And what? Device ID is not a PII. So can you now explain to all those nominated folks what privacy means? That's it. If you have been able to get that, half of your battle is won. And because those are the champions who will reach back to you and ask you that I'm doing something in my organization, Amit, can you help me out? Can you at least tell me, is it in your ambit? Does it even come under the privacy ambit? That's it. I feel I've done my job. Now things will start rolling. So the key thing which I'm saying is, can you get the management buy-in? You have to get it. If you're not getting it and you just want to run a program, it's a failure. Can you get the nominations from all the departments and the functions? And can you actually inculcate the privacy culture in those, obviously by awareness, training, meeting them, explaining them, giving the probably presentations the way the Philip gave, giving them a little bit of a scare as well of the privacy, what can happen. So yeah, I've already almost covered this. I'll move ahead. You need to conduct privacy risk assessment, and based on your risk assessment, you should have your goals of your short term and a long term, not just because some external consultants have come and told you. Any program, well understood, we need to measure and monitor the program. Where are we heading? Another key thing which I feel, based on my experience, is that a program, if I'm running a program, I will not be able to effectively know where I'm going wrong. So use the external consultants and the auditors to come and tell you what is going wrong in a program. Then have a courage to stand up and say, yes, this was going wrong in my program, and now I will correct it. So I used the 6 monthly or the annual audits which are required either because of some regulation or if the management has asked for, as a learning for my program. And that's the other key thing which I will say. if the people who are managing their programs internally, rather than running away from those assessments and audits, can you embrace those audits and assessments and say, that would be the test of my program? I will tell my management, no problem. If there are shortfalls, I will look into those. Because if I'm running the program, I'll always be biased that my program is perfect. There is nothing wrong with that. Because that's the human mind, and I'll never be able to see the failures in it. So if you have a program in place, what things you must change to make it an enabler in your organization? I've just listed down few key things. I've already covered most of them, but let's just look at them once more. As I said, the jargon has to be out of your language. If you are leading, if you are the privacy officer, the jargon can be with your privacy engineers, your team. They should know exactly what the regulation is. Definitely, you need a good team around it. But that doesn't mean that you start talking their language to the management. You've lost them otherwise. Okay. It has to be as simple as explaining them like a sixth graders. What does that privacy means? Privacy by design. The test of your program is that if the marketing teams or the business teams come back to you and say, I am making a new initiative in the organization, can you look into it? I think I'm sending some data now. I understand what you were telling me. I didn't understood. When you did the assessment for me and you asked me to fill that ROPA, I signed everything. But now 6 months down the line, I'm starting a new initiative, a new marketing campaign. I think we are missing something. Can you actually help me out? Now, at that point of time, what is important for you is to actually enable that department. That what we will do so that we will be complying and also your objective will be met. If you again create a fear that no, this can't be done, and if you are a naysayer, people will not come to you. You need folks to come back to you. My success is when my legal team comes to me and says, I'm seeing a contract going through. Can you help? I think there is a data which is going. This requires a DPA. And believe me, 50% of the time, that doesn't require DPA. But my success story is that they are able to come back to me and ask me that. That means they have some semblance of trust that I will not stop the businesses. I'm not a naysayer. Basically, security folks are as such feared in an organization. And on top of it, if you have a privacy hat you're wearing, then people will run away from you. So how to get compliant? Move from how to get compliant to what and why. What are you collecting? Why are you collecting? If you can keep embracing that again and again to the folks in your organization. As I told in the beginning, any program, you need to have a visibility. Where are your landing points? Where are you collecting the data of your customers? What is happening and where is it going? So initially, I used to only start with these data flow diagrams. We created these data flow diagrams for most of our businesses. But I feel we should go to data life charts. That means, where is it originating? Did I actually take the consent from him or not? Or any legitimate purpose? Then, where am I using it? If I have given it to the third parties, have I followed it to the end? Do I have a purging certificate now? So initially, I also had all this skepticism that, third parties where I'm giving the data may not even give me back these kinds of assurances. But no, I feel you need to make an effort. If you make an effort, most of the business folks will actually start complying to you. If they are your customers and they need the business with you, if you are certain that you want this thing in your clauses, in your legal agreements, they will come around and their solutions are coming. I'm seeing that. And that's what I'm saying. Rather than we being skeptic that the third party will not agree, they will not purge the data, we must try and make an effort and reach out to them. Legally, we need to do it. But what I'm trying to say is that, as the gentleman had told, we take some time the risk-based approach. Don't leave it. Make an attempt to reach out to that business and tell them that I need all these clauses. And when the currency of this clause will finish, I will ask you the certificate whether you have purged or not. Most of the time, you will realize that they will start thinking about it, and then they are conscious of the data which they're taking from you. It's not 100% in one day, but it's a journey, as I'm saying. Make privacy everyone's responsibility is the privacy champions. If you have privacy champions in your organization, battle is half done. engage with the business and management teams. Again and again I'm repeating, they need to feel safe when they reach to you. They need to feel confident that they will get a solution around me. They cannot be afraid of the privacy folks or the security folks. And last but not the least, there definitely will still be some risks. You need to reach out to not only your chief privacy officer or the CISOs or CROs, you need to reach out to the highest management. So you need to have an integration with somewhere in your enterprise risk program. Because you need to reach out to the management and tell them what the risks are and how either they are able to accept it or we are able to make some changes. If all these things we are able to do, in my opinion, probably we are in the direction of a successful privacy program. That's all from my end. I want to end it that compliance is not the end game. Don't look at it from a compliance point of view. It's about safeguarding the data and respecting privacy through a strong governance. So last, the entire privacy program, if you divide it into 3 portions, that you have a governance, you have the implementation part, and the operations. So in the operations, you need a very, very tight rope to play. If you receive a DSR, you need to respond within the time. You cannot be waiting for the data breach to happen and then realizing where my DPAs will be. All those playbooks have to be all ready in the beginning, because that may happen one day. And when the balloon goes up, I can't be that time running around to my legal folks telling me where all I need to reach out, whom all I need to tell. So that's a different part of the story. But the governance in the program will rest on some of the things which I have listed on. Thanks from my side. I'm open to questions if there are any. That's it. Thank you, Isaka.
Hi, myself is Abhinash Shamanthara. Just a quick questions. I mean, because in India, we do not have the data privacy bills. The PI data privacy bill has not been enforced now. So obviously, it's been a long time. The data has been flowing around all the areas. So it's already gone to the people who has an intention to misutilize it. So how the law is going to enforce in a reactive manner to be able to protect that data privacy? Because obviously the data is already there with those people. They can probably do that whenever they want to do that. The law is not actually making them stop to do that. So that's my question. So how are you going to protect from that kind of aspects? Thank you.
Great question. As you yourself are saying that any law or a regulation can't be actually applied retrospectively, and how do you really enforce this? Any regulation or any rule which we make even in our organizations, if you don't have an enforcement around it, how will you do it? So in my opinion, a beginning, though late, is good enough. There is still a lot of digitization and digital transformation which this country has to see. And I think let's try and protect that part. What we have probably lost can't be recovered by a regulation or any enforcement agency. But are we in the right direction? We're already late, we know. But I talk more from a business perspective, from an organization perspective, that even if the law is not there, can I make a beginning within my organization? And can I continue doing something? Because I do feel that the customers will start value it. And when the customers will start valuing it, it will be a big return on your investment. It's just the direction which you put it within your organization and culturally. And from there, you can make a difference. Governments will make rules and regulations. Enforcement will be a big issue. But yes, they're trying to do whatever best they can.